What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel. Man, my voice went away there. But anyways, I'm back with yet another album review, and this time I am talking about the latest offering from Sarke, ENDO FEIGHT. This also came out on June 21st, this time on Soul Cellar Records. And this is their 8th studio full-length overall, and for those who don't know, this is a Norwegian band. They're listed as black and thrash, and it does feature current and former members of bands like Enslaved, but one of the main anchors, Nocturno Culto from Darkthrone, as the vocalist. Now, I say it's described as black and thrash on Metal Archives, when in reality, this album, not thrash at all. I'm going to flat out say, this is kind of one of the weirdest albums I've heard in quite some time, as the songs are kind of just all over the place. So we start off with Phantom Recluse. This one was probably one of the weirdest songs I have heard this year. Like, it's got groove, but it's like weird, oddly twangy. I mean, there's a bass line in here, which is cool, and a keyboard solo, but apart from that, I don't want to say it, it almost felt like a raw, not seven-string guitar nu metal song. I know that might sound crazy, but it just kind of made me think of that a little bit. I don't know why, but it just did, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Then you get into Death Construction. It definitely got better from here. Atonal clean melody, some atmospheric keyboards, but it's kind of, again, a little bit more doom forward. There's some off-time chugs, which was actually pretty cool. But the lead on this, very odd. Even the harmonies felt very strange. Then we get into the song Lost, and this is sort of where the album does pick up a little bit more for me. Tranquil keyboards, but there's a really cool doomy melody that brings out like a Black Sabbath vibe. And the vocals on here, more spoken word by Nocturno, if I'm going to be honest. But I love how the atmospheric melodies on this song makes me think I'm back in the 1970s a little bit. Abyssal Echoes. I actually like how this one starts with the electric guitars providing melody on top of like classical acoustic guitar parts. It's in triplet pattern. It's got a triplet pattern to it. But there's even a riff on here. Almost felt a little grungy. Like it was a little bit more murky and grungy sounding. Old Town Center. This one was kind of one of the big highlights on here because this almost feels directly in line a little bit with like Darkthrone. Classic metal riffs. There's a lead that's going on, but there's like blackened blast beats on top, which I'm like, whoa, this is finally we're getting some black metal on here a little bit. And then into the track I Destroyed the Cosmos, which I think was the longest track of the album at 5.5 minutes. More doomy Sabbath influence on here, and even a clean melody at the end. In Total Allegiance, this one feels the most black metal of any song on here. Like the blasts and the tremolos made me think of old school Darkthrone, like A Blaze in the Northern Sky, Under a Funeral Moon, like that type of Darkthrone sound. And then there's even some like classic rock and roll moments on this track, although there's one part on this track that I thought could have been cut out, and that's that one weird clean transition, and then it stops, and then back into tremolos and blasts, but it does end on a more doomy note. And then the closing track, Macabre Embrace, kind of another one of them like doomy Sabbath influenced tracks, but with a clean melody at the end. Yeah, like I said, this album's kind of all over the map when it comes down to the songs, but there's no thrash on here whatsoever. So I felt like I was misled because of Metal Archives describing them as black and thrash. And I've wanted to check this band out for a long time because with Nocturno being in there, I'm like, it has to be good, right? Well, this album, I felt disappointed and let down by the lack of thrash. And also, again, the songs just kind of are all over the place. Like the opening track kind of sounded like raw, 6-string, standard tuning, new metal. Then you had a song where it was mostly about the melodies and keyboards. Then it kind of picks up when it gets a little bit more on the doomy, Sabbathy sound. In Total Allegiance, I will say, aside from that weird clean transition, was probably the big standout on here because it felt like old school Dark Throne, but with Nocturno still doing his Tom G. Warrior inspired grunts. But yeah, it just, I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about this album. Like, the production was pretty solid for what it was. The mix was actually good. Maybe the bass could have been turned up a little bit when it came down to the production, but the songs themselves, I feel like asking a lot of questions about this album. So I'm going to go with a 2.5 with this one. It could go up, it could go down, but again, this album, it's really all over the place. But the songs that I liked, there was only a few of them that I would consider going back to, like Lost and Old Town Center, I Destroyed the Cosmos, and Total Allegiance. So, like, half of the album's enjoyable to good, and then the other half is just kind of uneven, and I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about a lot of this, other than the fact that I was disappointed that this wasn't a Black and Thrash album as described on Metal Archives. So, it's a 2.5. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Thank you for watching. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet.
Thank you for your patronage.